Hello, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to the next Fear the Wolf, the Month of Werewolves special. And guess what? I am joined by my co-host, my good friend, Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio.
What's up, everybody?
Yes. Now, the thing with my good friend DJ Anubis, this month is a very special month because he's a bit of a werewolf connoisseur. He loves the furry beasts. What can we say? Not the
That
same
I
way I like
do.
it.
I do.
Not in the same way that I like a furry beast, but that's a story for a different thing.
I am the yin to your yang with the vampires.
Yes, yes. For those that don't know, last year the first ever month-long special was called Taste the Blood, the Month of the Vampire. And that playlist is available on the channel if you do wish to check it out for all the streams and discussions we had on that one. But let's talk about your furry friends, werewolves. So tonight we've chosen 3 particular films. For me, I know you prefer your werewolves films where the werewolves are more beast than man.
Yeah.
And 2 of these particular films that we're going to talk about, it's the opposite. They come across more like modern day versions of the Wolfman.
Correct. Yep.
Yes. So let's get cracking and talk about the first film. I think the first film I'm going to talk about is the one that I found very intriguing when I first seen it, and it is
WER.
Yes. So, WER is a 2013 American horror film directed by William Brandt Bell, starring A.J. Cook as a defense attorney who discovers that her client is a werewolf. The film was released in Japan on November the 16th, 2013, and was released on VOD in the United States in August 2014. So, my good friend DJ Anubis, can you remember the first time you had ever heard or seen WER?
Well, I definitely didn't see it when it was released. Now, obviously, as a werewolf fan, like I'm constantly looking for either independent films or even stuff that comes out mainstream that deals with werewolves and stuff like that. Now, obviously, if I watch a trailer and I'm not really that interested, I won't bother unless it's something I catch on streaming later. But this one, when it came to I'd always search out underrated werewolf films. This one appeared a number of times in people's lists. So I probably checked it out maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's been I haven't seen it since, unfortunately. So my memory of it all is kind of foggy. But if I'm correct, the main guy is like being charged with murder basically through the court systems or something, but he claims that he's a werewolf or something like that. So my memory's kind of fuzzy with it, but yeah. And I mean, dude looks cool as shit, obviously. And he looks like he's pissed off at the world, but it's a unique take. It does kind of remind you a little bit, just in some sense, of like Del Toro's Wolfman, where Benicio's in that locked up chamber and they're all like kind of gathered around him because he thinks it's like I forget who the actor is that's playing opposite in there, but claiming that Benicio is like just deranged and not a real werewolf. And of course, he has that transformation. Well, this kind of plays off of that a little bit where nobody really believes this guy's a werewolf. And then, of course, you get these certain moments throughout the film where you can actually see him changing or something like that into it. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So as for me, I'm very much like yourself. Obviously, I never seen this film for a couple of years after it. I can't even remember what year it was, but it was about 2 or 3 years after it initially come out in 2014. Because obviously for me, 2014 was the buzz about the new Godzilla film that was coming out. That was my film of the year. That's all I was waiting for. So anything else was to the buy. When I finally got to see this, what I'll say is it, I knew it was going to be a werewolf film, but at the beginning I thought it was going to be like a found footage werewolf film, because
Yeah.
it starts off very uniquely, and then as it progresses, it very much becomes like a proper aggressive, darkish werewolf film with lots of gore and lots of kind of action sequences in many ways. So the story starts off where you've got the Porter family, who you see like footage of a family video of them camping in France, in the French countryside, when suddenly the father and the son are mauled to death and basically taken out, and you see like the camera footage, and then next thing you know, you see nothing but news, headlines on the television of this, horrendous act that's happened. The family's been mauled to death by what they believe this unknown creature or an escaped animal from some, wildlife preserve or something. And this is when suddenly, after that happens, the police who are investigating this case suddenly come across this man called Talon. And Talon is basically this larger than life giant kind of individual. He's like 7 foot. It reminds me something like Michael Clark Duncan in, the Green Mile, where you've got this a huge man, but he's very slow. He's in a lot of pain. He doesn't really speak. And, he's immediately just arrested, and it's like, right, we've got our guy. And
Yeah.
this is when this beautiful lady, AJ Cook, who was a international defense attorney, she takes on the case.
I actually forgot she was in this film because, I remember her from the show Criminal Minds, which is a really good show. So I totally forgot she was in this film.
Yeah, well, she takes on the case to defend him against the police. So there's a handful of the other cast members. That's the
I
mother.
recognize the other guy too. Yeah, there's a few familiar faces there.
Yes, you've got AJ Cook, who's in the middle there. The one next to her on the left, that is Sebastian Roach. And the guy next to her on the other is Vic Sahe. And he's like an information collector. He's the one who collects all the information and helps with the case on that way. You also have another guy who's they've got a past, like an ex-boyfriend. He's like a wildlife specialist, and she gets him to come over from America to check out the bodies of the family that's being mauled. And he cannot recognize, the bite marks or the tearing of the skin, because he calls it's from an animal, but he doesn't know what animal it is.
Yeah.
As the plot progresses, it turns out, his mother and his father were originally from Romania and moved to France. So in many ways, it brings in like connecting Romania and the Romanian myth with werewolves into this plot, which I quite enjoyed. And it turns out she says that all the men on the father's side of the family inherit this genetic disorder, which gives them a lot of pain. They grow excessive hair, and they can't really move. They move very, very slowly. And as she's interviewing him at the police station, they decide to put him through some tests. And some of the tests they put him through, it's like the blinking lights, to start like a seizure, and suddenly he turns wild and basically transforms into like a beast of a man and breaks free, kills everyone on sight, and goes on the run. And this is where you really start to see him as the werewolf. And it's quite frightening, like how aggressive he gets.
Yeah.
Some images throughout the course, and it's really brutal. And some of the kills he does is quite brutal, like this particular one.
Yeah. That's some good special effects there.
Yeah. So the thing is, though, they kind of make this more like the Wolfman than a werewolf movie. They kind of focus on kind of this genetic disorder, and they did this thing where he's a gentle giant, but there's certain times of the year when the moon is full. It's something to do with the power of the moon turns him aggressive and turns him fast and, you know, dangerous. And during the initial breakout, the other guy is scratched by him. And throughout the course of the movie, you see him showing symptoms that he's starting to change like he is. And it basically culminates in this huge fight between the two of them.
Yep.
Which I thought was good, but obviously, unlike him, the other guy isn't. He doesn't have any hair. He basically looks like something from 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't actually show any fur, and basically it's like a battle with him and the other guy, Talon. And basically the film ends where Talon is apparently killed, and the other guy's doing like a news story where he's basically explaining that werewolves exist, and it ends on that note.
I can't remember. Did they, when they killed Talon, was it with Silver or not? Did it even reference that at all?
No, because the other guy snaps his neck.
Okay.
So the other guy who slowly turns into the way, I forgot his name, as this guy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So he is like the animal specialist who gets scratched as he's slowly starting to change, and he also visits the mother and kills the mother and throws her down a flight of stairs, and he's slowly starting to give into these instincts of becoming this animal-like person.
Yeah.
He basically discovers that the mother knew all along that Talon was a werewolf and was keeping him locked up in the basement when there was a full moon. And this is the other guy when he becomes the werewolf.
Yeah, not quite as impressive.
No.
Actually looks a lot like those vampires from Blade 2.
Yeah. Oh, from that show. What was that show? That Del
Strain.
Toro, The Strain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that looks more like a wolf man.
Yeah, definitely.
Another subplot of the movie that the guy who was on the photo, who was the head policeman, he's basically been corrupting the case. They're trying to hide, what they were trying to do. Basically, the French government were trying to take the land of Talon's family to build like a nuclear waste facility, because obviously France uses a lot of nuclear energy. So it comes across that they framed the family to expose Talon to then steal the land. And the female attorney discovers all this at the same time. It's just trying to investigate the deaths of this family. But overall, Anubis, what with your memories of what you've seen, if it's bringing any memories back, what's your overall thought on WER?
I think it's a good it's a good plot. Obviously, it's actually well acted. A lot of great actors in there. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I'm sorry on the details, but clearly it stuck with me enough that I remember some of it. Because like sometimes I'll watch a movie and I won't remember shit from it, but this one I do remember. So it is unique. I think you might agree with me though. It's kind of like a slow burn because it's trying to be a mystery and a thriller rather than a straight horror film.
Yeah.
But as you said and as you showed, it has like good special effects in there, the brutal killings and all that stuff. So
Like
So-
this particular scene as well.
yeah,
Where
yeah,
it
dude,
shows
that's almost something like out of is it
Hannibal.
Hannibal? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
Hannibal. It reminds
yep,
me of Gary Oldman from the movie.
yep, yep, exactly.
So that is the mother, the the last survivor of the Proctor family that were brutally mauled. She does later succumb and die of her injuries, but
Hmm.
straight away that also grabbed me interest when I watched this because I thought, whoa, the gore and the effects and the like. She does look literally like she's been mauled by some sort of animal.
Hmm.
And like you say, my favourite death is this one.
Yeah,
But
it's
he
so
basically
good.
rips his jaw apart.
That's so good.
Yeah. So overall, it's where something you would revisit through time.
I think it's one that I probably would like every few years. Like it is, I'm not sure if I would own it. I mean, obviously, if I had money to burn, I'd collect like werewolf films because that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. But uh, it's not something that I would. I think I'd probably get like a 6 or 7 in terms of the rating. But
Mhm.
I'd probably revisit this in like another couple of years because it's fun to come back and look at it and see
Yeah.
if I feel differently about it at that time.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm going to give it an 8 just because I like the mystery. It's like what I told you when we've done a couple of these specials is one thing that I love about werewolf films is if they don't reveal who the werewolf is straight away, it's who is the werewolf and the mystery behind it. It becomes like a crime caper as well as a horror film. And this had all of that as well as great practical effects and great gore. So that's why I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Very good.
But the next film we're going to talk about is a one that I've only seen, I think, once or twice, and very much like you, I didn't have a chance to rewatch this prior to us setting this up. So the next movie is Cursed. And so I'm going to let you, my friend, take the lead on this one.
So yeah, I can't remember if I was excited or not when this came out, and I think I did go see it in the theaters because obviously I love Wes Craven. He's a legend in terms of horror. Has a good cast at the time. It was a lot of the younger faces. That was obviously Christina Ricci, Joshua Jackson, Jesse Eisenberg, Shannon Elizabeth. A lot of the familiar faces from around that late '90s to early 2000s. Um, this also, like watching it again today, I have to give it a little bit of credit because you and I were very picky about CGI versus practical effects,
Yeah,
and but this reminds me a little bit of Van Helsing in terms of their werewolf design and the CGI, where it
yeah,
actually works out pretty well. Wes did a good job of like covering up any kind of um, glitches or making it look shitty. It looks actually decent for CGI work. Now, obviously, one thing Craven likes to do is he likes to add in like comedy spats within his films a little bit, so it takes some of the dire dread out of the plot itself. But basically, you have brother and sister Ellie and Jimmy, played by Ricci and Eisenberg, who Ellie works for like an entertainment company or something, and Jimmy is in high school as a senior, I think. But they lost their parents when they were a little younger, so really Ellie is the one that has to kind of pick up the pieces and carry and support the family and all that stuff.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree. Like
Okay.
when it comes to the special effects, I like I like they do use practical effects in this, but it's very limited. I think for the bigger, more moment of the movie, I think they felt like the only way they could make it work is by using lots of CGI.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, because I was just looking through my images to see which ones I could put on the screen. This is I believe, that's the practical effect of the
Yeah.
werewolf, which I think looks phenomenal. I really
Yeah.
think that looks decent.
Yep.
And then you have obviously the iconic scene of right at the end of the film, or the transformation scene, like you say, the transformation. Oh, that's the wrong image. There's the transformation scene at the end of where you find out who the werewolf is. That for me, the CGI is just terrible. It does look, like you say, it looks too much like Van Helsing.
Yeah.
But I think Van Helsing did it better. And don't forget, this came out in 2005.
Yeah.
So, they were kind of experimenting with CGI during that era, like on what would work or what wouldn't work.
Yep.
And I think Van Helsing did the werewolf effects better.
Yeah. But they
But
also
I
kind
still
of
appreciate it. Yeah.
they kind of covered it up a little bit too with some of the forest and stuff like that outside of the last part, of course, with Van Helsing turned into the werewolf. That was a little bit different. But yeah, this one, they wanted, Craven went out of his way to show you the wolf more in this one than Van Helsing did.
Yeah. And I can appreciate that the fact he tried to show you the werewolf more than he did. And another thing I like about this is the scene with the dog under the table, and then the dog's scratched or bitten, and suddenly just becomes like a were-dog.
Yeah.
I remember when I first seen this particular scene, I shit my pants. Because
Yeah, I
I
was
thought
watching
I
it.
didn't
I kind of
expect it.
forgot about it. So
And obviously he has that iconic scene.
yeah, that's like one of the funnier parts is, she's trying to, Ellie's trying to tell the cops, like, there's a werewolf here and it's actually a human named Joni, which is a coworker. And so it made me think of, like, this is why women can't really handle being like monsters, because they have too much emotion. So she's like insulting her by saying, yeah, she's Joni, she's got a bony ass and slim fat thighs. That's when she does this, she gets all pissed off.
Yeah, it's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then the cop, and basically the cops are like, bang, 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 and shoot her dead because she's giving to her emotions.
Yeah.
But the plot's a basic plot, basically, where there's murders happen and they've got the two brother and the sister, and basically, like I say, they've got to try and discover who's killing the friends and who's basically the werewolf. And it turns out, like you say, to be a co-worker. I think the best scare for me is in the car park.
Yeah.
The car park scene where I can remember that, where she's going to her car and she gets this feeling that something's following her, and then suddenly there is something there and she gets into the elevator just as the werewolf's trying to grab her, and just when you think she's safe, she kind of sticks her head out and the werewolf fucking bites her face off, basically. So,
yeah.
Like you say, Wes Craven, and this came out like early 2000s, so basically Scream became big, and this was made to capture the Scream crowd.
Yes. I mean, even
Like,
the cover is similar, and theme.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's still an enjoyable film. I do still enjoy it. I like the story, but like you say, it's just the odd CGI element that kind of puts us off, but I still enjoy it, and I appreciate what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, my only issues ever is just because it's not like a super deep story or plot. It's like just basically designed for your young adults because of the whole idea, the reason why this werewolf is killing people is because she's jealous of the guy that actually made her a werewolf. She wants to be the guy, the affection for this guy, so she's just taking out the competition. But hats off to Judy Greer for an excellent portrayal of a bitchy werewolf, because even in her human form, she had me laughing. So I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, well, she is a really talented actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think she gets the credit enough as an actor. I think the only thing I haven't seen her in much lately. I think the last thing I can actually remember her being in outside of this is I know she plays the mother in the original in Jurassic World.
Does
She
she?
yeah, she played the mother in Jurassic World.
She's been in quite a few things. I mean, she was in Jawbreaker, of course, The Village. Let's see.
Oh, I remember The Village. Yeah.
I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff, but so I'm just trying to look for the more main ones that Jurassic World. Okay, there you go. Yep. She's in Ant-Man. Yeah, she's been in quite a bunch of stuff. So certainly, she's actually going to be in The Long Walk. That's coming out soon. That's been something people have been talking about. So yeah, she is very talented. But I just like when she first basically exposes who she is. Like she's like, I'm the villain, and she's like walking around in that dress, and then of course Jackson's character Jake, he's like trying to talk her down, and she's like, it's all for you, and sometimes love is painful, and she like knees him in the balls.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's one thing I'll give this. The script's brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wes will always make a film entertaining, even if you're not quite super excited about it, or like if the film doesn't become like a classic to you, at least he'll make it entertaining for you to. It's like good popcorn stuff.
Yeah. So, like I say, I've never seen this one for a while, but I do remember elements of it.
Part of me though wonders if I saw because like I said, I just watched this earlier today, so part of me wonders if I watched like a cut down version, because I remember the other time I've seen it was much more gorier. Like I thought you saw the girl in the elevator all cut up and shit, but the one I watched today didn't show that. So I'm wondering if I saw some edited version, which would be strange, but I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a different version of this.
Something tells me there might be an unrated one. I don't know. I'd have to double check, but certainly possible.
So overall, still enjoy this particular film?
Yeah, it's not one that I'm gonna. Again, it's kind of like the other one. I'd probably watch this more than I watch WER, but it's only because this one's a little bit easier. Like with WER, you have to actually pay attention and actually get engrossed in the slow burn story. This one, if I just want to cook popcorn and just have some fun, this is what I'm going to watch. But I'll probably, like I said, today was the first time I'd seen this probably since it came out. So 10 years or 20 years, that works for me. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and you still have a laugh with it. So
right, exactly.
So me, if I were to rate this, I would probably give this a 7 out of 10. It's still a good film. It has the odd jump scare. For me, it's the humor in it. It's just, it's a popcorn flick. Just switch it on, let your mind go, and like you say, it's Wes Craven, and you cannot go wrong with a bit of Wes Craven.
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 7 as well. It's right there in the middle.
So here we are with our third movie of this special, and this is the one I've kind of been looking forward to the most, because I don't think I've watched this film for nearly 15 years. And it is, of course, Wolf. Now, if we thought WER was a tribute to the Wolfman, without a shadow of a doubt, this one is. And I never thought in a million years I would see Jack Nicholson in a werewolf film.
Yeah.
But here we are with Wolf. Can you remember your first time seeing this one?
Yes, I actually went to see this in the theaters. Again, you know me, like I have my particular type of werewolf I like. So this is clearly more wolf man than werewolf. But
Mhm.
if you look at just the two main names, Nicholson and Pfeiffer, it's just blazing hot. Those two are just amazing actors, and they are fantastic. And it's like, dude, that ending with Pfeiffer when she's like basically been bit and she's just herself, but she's already starting to turn. She smells the alcohol in the cop's breath, and she gets those like yellow eyes. I'm like, so sexy. I really like that.
Yes.
But then,
Yeah,
of course,
she's stunning.
yeah, and then you've got other actors like James Spader, who is amazing, amazing. If anyone's ever seen him in Blacklist or even some of his older films, he's an amazing actor.
Christopher
Christopher
Plummer.
Plummer, yep, exactly. And there's even a small role with David Schwimmer in here from Friends. So
Yeah, yeah. You also had Alice. Is it Alice Channing? She's a
uh,
well-known actress now. She was in the
oh yes,
sitcom called Mom. She was in The West Wing. You had
oh
David.
yeah,
Yeah, it was David Pierce out of Frasier. He plays the guy in The Office. Um, or David Hyde Pierce, I think he's called. He's from Frasier. He's a great actor.
oh Richard
Um,
Jenkins, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah.
Wolf is a 1994 American romantic horror film directed by Mike Nichols and starring Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, Kate Nelligan, Richard Jenkins, Christopher Plummer, Eileen Atkins, and David Hyde Pierce, and Om Puri. It was written by Jim Harrison and Wesley Strike and an uncredited Elaine May. So basically, the plot of this movie is Will Randall is he's basically the editor of a publishing company, a huge, massive, well-known publishing company. He's very well mannered. He's basically a guy who doesn't take risks and very straightforward and in many ways probably boring to a lot of people. Um, at him in his office. Um, and basically the world's starting to change. The basically owner of the publishing company, which is played by Christopher Plummer, he basically wants somebody more ruthless, who's not as nice, to take over the publishing company, and he's basically preparing to fire him. And just prior to him returning to New York, Randall goes out to New England, where at the beginning of the movie, he basically runs over an animal, doesn't really know what it is, and it turns out to be a wolf. And when he thinks the wolf's dead, it suddenly jumps up and bites him. And that's basically the start of this particular film. Very different, it's not different, sorry, it's similar to like The Wolfman or American Werewolf in London. Um, and then throughout the course of the movie, he starts changing. He's starting to take more risk. He's starting to be more open. He's got more energy. He can hear, everybody around him. He no longer has to wear glasses. He's got a stronger, sense of smell. And, like I say, Christopher Plummer's character considers him very boring, all of this stuff. And then obviously you have James Spader's character who's like the ultimate kiss ass.
Yeah.
He is the snake in the grass. He's absolutely vile human being. He basically tells everyone what they want to hear so he can progress in life and screw over as many people as he wants. And this is throughout the course of the movie, basically where after he is fired, basically straight away, when he's at Christopher Plummer's house, he knows straight away just by the feel and the way that James Spader's character goes on that he's the one that's been pulling the strings behind the scenes to get his job.
Yep.
Because there was a scene earlier when he was in the office with one of his writers, and James Spader's character did everything to kiss her ass. And even Jack Nicholson's character's like, you just know how to pull those strings or whatever he says, and he goes, yes, well, that's what I'm here to do. So he basically knows he's the one behind it all, getting him fired. He gets offered a job in Europe, and he's like, well, he knows I'm not going to take a job in Europe, so he's going to end up firing his.
Yeah, it's really interesting about this film because if you one of the reasons I do really like this is because obviously in our fantasy worlds, when your real life is crumbling, because the thing that, this is an old enough movie, so spoilers, but one of my most surprising moments was, not only is he fighting for his job, but Spader is such a piece of dirt that when Jack gets to senses, smells his wife's clothes, and I'm trying to figure out like what's going on at this point. I'm like, what is he doing? And he runs through the city to Spader's house, his character Stewart's house, walks in and finds out his wife's been fucking this dude behind his back when she knows that Stewart's trying to take his job. So the fact that not only does Randall like find out all this bad shit that's happening to him, he's able to kind of correct it through his special abilities. Now, granted, he's got to do a little battle with Spader later on, but he also meets Laura, played by Pfeiffer, which he gets to kind of get the younger, hotter girl along the way.
Who happens to be Christopher Plummer's daughter.
Right. So he's really sticking it to everybody by the end of the movie, which is fantastic. I love that whole turn of events because, for us normal people without the realization of werewolves, like, to have that happen to you would send a guy into a spiral. Like it would just crush you. All that stuff happening. So
yeah. So it's like you say, he's very mild-mannered. He's very like sticks to the book. People consider him boring or straightforward, but once he's bitten, all his like kind of inhibitions come out, and he starts to give in to like being more adventurous, and he then gets, like you say, attracts Michelle Pfeiffer's character, but then he also does things that he wouldn't do normally in character. Like he comes up with this plan because he knows Christopher Plummer's character is going to fire him. So what does he do? He ends up contacting like people who are faithful to him within the publishing world to jump ship. He threatens to start his own publishing company and take a handful of writers with him, which would damage the company he currently works for. And at the same time, if you've got this personal plot with him, like a self-discovery type thing, being more adventurous, falling in love with Michelle Pfeiffer, you also got those elements of he knows these animal instincts aren't normal. And he tells Michelle Pfeiffer's character about, of course, the wolf incident. And she thinks because she's had a brother who died of schizophrenia, mental illness, she kind of like when she's explaining stuff to her, she's not taking him serious. She thinks it's just like some sort of game, or she thinks it's him flirting. And, with her being like studying psychology, she's like just going along for the ride. It's not till later on in the film when she now starts to see things that he's not joking. That it's like real, and she gets nervous and frightened.
Exactly.
And obviously you've got the animal instinct side where he's just playing around with people and plotting his comeback or his revenge, but you've got them scenes where at night time where it's like 2 a.m, he's suddenly waking up, he's got the yellow eyes, he's venturing out into the woods, and you've got that scene where he kills this deer in the wood, which for me, that was sad and painful to watch. I'm not going to lie. When he gather animal, weeping in pain, but he's just giving into the animal, instincts. But there's one key thing that I remember with Michelle Pfeiffer, where she starts talking to him about, when he's saying to her, I've got these instincts, I feel like there's this inner wolf that's trying to get out. And I don't know if it's with her or if it's when he goes to see that shaman type person where he says a good person won't become the wolf. They kind of just have the wolf's instinct, but they don't become a bad person. A bad person will totally cave into the instincts of the wolf and be vicious, cruel, and and basically all these nasty animalistic tendencies will come out. Where he, for the most part, been in control of them. It's just when he falls asleep, and I guess he's sleepwalking, that's when you see the wolf side of him come out.
Mm-hmm. And that's very interesting because obviously, there's a point where one of my favorite scenes from here is when you showed a little part of it when they're in the bathroom and, they're taking a piss and Will turns around and starts pissing on Stewart's feet. Mm-hmm. And Stewart's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just marking my territory. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of cool. But he ends up biting Stewart at some point. I think it's at the night that he finds his wife there. And
it's when he picks up a blouse or something when she sees she's going to stay at her sister's or something. He sniffs her blouse, but there's another scent on it. And he tracks the scent to Stewart. And he goes, I'm coming downstairs to speak to you. But instead of speaking, he just barges past him when Stewart puts his hand on me, bites him. And I knew straight away what that was going to lead to.
Yeah.
So you've got
that goes back to what you said about, because Stewart's persona is more evil than Will's. And so they treat their afflictions differently.
Yeah. Well, his personality is soft and gentle. He's kind. Mm-hmm. He's humble. He doesn't take risks. In many ways, people might consider him boring.
Pushover.
Yes, pushover. Where Stewart is selfish. He's greedy. He's manipulative. He's willing to step on anybody to make it to the top. So you've got these two different personality traits. And when someone gets bitten by the wolf, depending on your personality or who you are as a human being, you'll either go the way he went, which is gentle, but except when he's sleepwalking, or when it comes to Stewart, when things develop with him, he's just pure evil. And as mentioned, as the plot progresses and he's starting, Jack Nicholson's character is getting more involved with the wolf side of his personality. There's that one time he's in the park and he howls at the moon. And at the same time, he goes back to the apartment. And earlier on, his wife basically was begging him to take him back.
Yeah. By then, he's already enthralled with Laura, so he's like, nah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that leads to the next day when the police knock on his door and his wife's been brutally murdered. And he's now shitting himself thinking, right, I am evil. I was warned that people who are evil do evil things when they're possessed by the power of the wolf. And that came from the doctor who wrote a book on, is it lichenology?
Lycanthropes, yeah.
Yeah. So he wrote a book, and basically what happened is he went to visit him to kind of get more information on his condition, and he basically told him he had cancer and he would like to be bitten, but he cannot go through with it, but he still gives him this medallion if he wears it, and he is kind of the good person. It'll keep the wolf element at bay. So obviously he's now here and his wife's murdered. He's got the necklace on and he's thinking it clearly hasn't kept the wolf instincts at bay. And this is where Laura starts panicking and she takes them back to the country home and decides I'll lock him in these stables. And then this is when, Stewart's plotting, saying, right, what happens if he gets arrested and convicted? could I get his job? And Christopher Plummer's character goes, well, there is a get out clause if that were to happen. So straight away, your mind's playing, well, something's happened with Stewart, and this is all a plot for power.
Yeah, and I like how they kind of like, they don't really address it too much because obviously, we're trying to just be within the plot, but like even when Stewart starts acting different, like his eyes have already turned yellow. So, but no one really talks about it. No one really, so no one really addresses it. They just know that he's Stewart being Stewart, the asshole, but like no one really understands that he's actually transforming into something else.
Well, you don't actually see his eyes. Like, there's that scene where he's talking to Christopher Plummer and he goes, has he been arrested yet? No. But what happens if he got arrested? Would he lose his job? And he's like, well, or could I be put into his position? Well, I know, because he's already named his successor. He goes, yes, but what if he gets convicted? And he goes, well, that's just a theory. And he's like, well, and he's playing it dead calm, cool and collected. And he goes, it'll be a shame what happened to him, but I think it was Ron or something. He went, but fuck Ron. If he gets elected, I'm getting his job. And that's when he goes to the police station to speak to Laura, because he's trying to figure out where he is. And that's when you first see his eyes are yellow, and you know straight away he's now been affected. And of course, she's now caught on that he is also succumbed to the power of the wolf, but he is shown like the aggressive elements where Will isn't. He's more trying to control it, where he's just allowing it to run amok. And even this, by the end of this, is where you start to see them more like in these beast-like modes.
Yep.
The animal instincts are starting to fully develop and take over them throughout the course of the last half of the movie. And I have to say, I think Jack Nicholson played his part well.
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
Like I thought it was brilliant. And one thing I don't know if you noticed, they did use practical effects. When you see two dogs or wolves, they took like real. The research that there was this particular scene where they're snarling at each other and they're biting each other's faces. They look like wolves. They look like real animals, and they actually did some prosthetic effects during that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought this was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it really highlighted more of like how much these two are practically turning into wolves. And basically by the end of the movie, he tracks Laura down. He sees that Jack Nicholson's character's trapped in the stables. He's trying to rape her. He's trying to attack her. And Jack Nicholson knows, because the necklace is holding his true animal instincts at bay, because he doesn't want to be this horrible beast. And he thinks he's the evil one, where he clearly isn't. He decides to rip the talisman off, and that's when he goes into beast mode. And it basically ends where they get into a fight, and then Jack Nicholson, as he's fighting him, he basically defeats him, but then as he turns his back, he gets some garden shears, Stewart, and he jumps in the air to go to stab him, but then he gets shot and killed. And this is where you see a glimmer in Jack Nicholson's character's eye, where he's totally now succumbing to the power of the wolf. But at the same time, he's looking at Laura like he's got like a peaceful look on his face, like he's like a humble, caring creature.
I think part of it is, obviously when she kills Swinton, that he kind of understands that she saved him. So it's almost like if you were to save a wild animal and that animal somehow appreciates in their own way what you did for them. So in a way, that's what happens here. But that's the other thing about this film is that, and I'm sure you'll talk about it when we get to the very end, it's really kind of like a love story by the end of it.
Yeah, it is. It's a love story where he's like found inner peace. Like you say, for all his life, he's been ploughing through life, and has he really been happy at his job, and has he really had the life that he wanted? But through this kind of transformation, he's like also kind of discovered him
Hmm.
and what he wants, and then obviously she lets him go, and then you have the scene where the police rock up, and who were there to arrest him, but they realised Stewart's the deranged psycho ones, considering he bit the security guard's neck and then he ran over the other guy in the car.
Yeah.
But then, like you say, something's changed within Michelle Pfeiffer's character Laura, and you have this amazing shot.
Ah, yeah. Grr.
And then there's this shot where you see into her eyes, and then it drifts off into the woodlands, and then the next shot
Hmm.
is you see for a split second Jack Nicholson's face, then you see he has fully manifested into this wolf,
Yeah.
and it also makes me feel the way it ended because she's staring. I feel like she knows where he is, and eventually she's going to join him.
Yes, because you do see her driving, and so she's clearly trying to seeking him out, I guess. And so, at least my interpretation is that because she will eventually transform all the way into a wolf as well. So, I think you made a pretty good um, description of something I hadn't really thought about, how the different personas of the wolves. Because deep down, you might say to yourself, well, once they become fully wolves, are they really safe around people or whatever? But they do show you throughout this film that Will was like attacking animals, not people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Stewart was the opposite. And then
Really killed
now,
his wife.
right, so now you have her, like, Laura, like driving out to find him, and so you just kind of say to yourself, well, this is kind of cool because maybe they're just going to live as werewolves out in the forest and just hunt down animals. Like that's how they're going to live and be together.
Mm-hmm.
So like even though they're not human, they're still going to have that connection from when they were human. So I just find that very cool about the characters and how
Mm-hmm.
she kind of knew that she wanted to be with him in the end.
Yeah, he has a question for you. You know how he is now fully in wolf form. He's like just basically because obviously the wolf he runs over at the beginning of the film is a werewolf.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder though, once you fully embrace being a werewolf, whether good or bad, can you retransform back into human, or is that it? You're now a wolf for the rest of your life.
It's a good question because obviously during his time of, before that, he was kind of like just going out at night and somewhat transforming into the wolf man. But then by day, he was still him, he was still fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say because uh, I guess they really never leave you with any real answers there because, like, I was kind of surprised at the end when he was fully transformed into the wolf itself. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, does that mean that he was always going to find that end? And I guess you could say Ginger Snaps kind of follows that same thing. The original Ginger
Mm-hmm.
Snaps,
Yeah.
how she was just going bit by bit by bit until she finally becomes like an entire wolf. So maybe that's what the same plan is here.
Yeah. But don't forget he had the amulet around his neck, so that might have stopped him from fully transforming into the
True.
wolf.
Yep.
And because I see elements in this that I saw like with spirituality. Obviously, they talk about shaman and how a shaman can give you medicines or herbs to stop you from transforming. It remind me of Wolfen that were reviewed on your Full Moon Mayhem. Like
Yep.
it has connection to like spirituality in many ways in this. I
Yep.
don't know if you saw that in this.
Not as much. I mean, obviously that medallion plays a part of it because just like anything else, like with Cursed, uh, I kind of forgotten at the time, but Cursed, like they actually use the pentagram on the palm,
Yeah.
which is something that the werewolf TV series from the 80s did as well. So there's always like these little borrowed things. So
Mhm.
yeah, Wolf may have taken some of that mythology and spiritualism you talk about from Wolf and 10
Mhm.
years prior. So
Yeah. So overall, your final thought on Wolf 1994, and what would you rate it?
So yeah, I often forget about this film just because it's more mainstream compared to most of the stuff that we
Mhm.
watch when it comes to horror. But and again, it's a wolf man, not so much werewolf. But this is one of these films where I don't give a fuck if it's a full werewolf. This is a 10 out of 10. The acting is top notch. The story's cool. The setting is cool. There's just nothing to hate about this film for me.
Yeah, 100% agree. 10 out of 10 for me. For me personally, like you say, back in the 1990s, during this time, Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer were the powerhouse of Hollywood. They, alongside lots of other well-known 90s based actors, were like the face of cinema at that time. You had other films like As Good As You Get came out, and
Yep.
stuff of that nature. So, he won an Oscar, I think, for that film. So this for me, like you say, it's more like a werewolf love story, but I like the story and the ending. Something we never touched about. It's the first time a werewolf got away,
Yeah.
really, and it doesn't die. And he's not an evil werewolf. He's not really cursed. He's humble.
Yeah,
He's
and it's
good
funny too
nature.
because if you think about it, it would have changed the entire dynamic of the film. So even if he was in love with her, and let's say he killed Swinton, and then all of a sudden he just couldn't control himself from attacking her, and she had to kill him. Well, it still changes the dynamic. You kind of leave the theater like, oh, that's a bummer, because he really loved her. So I'm
Mm,
glad they kind of played it out like this. I'm glad the director decided to
mm,
stick with
mm.
just let him be free.
Yeah,
you know,
they could have done two things if they did kill him. One, showcase she's transforming, but they could have also showcased, because they had that one night stand, that she ended up pregnant.
right, right.
So they could have went down that road, which could have led into a sequel potentially. But I'm quite happy this is a one and done. They haven't extended. A part of us wonders what a Wolf Part Two would have been like. But then it's like, it's going back to what I said. Once he's fully transformed and he's fully given to the werewolf elements or the wolf element, I don't know if they can transform back to human, because I get this feeling they can't, just the
Yeah.
way the plot progresses. But 10 out of 10, Jack Nicholson, amazing, Michelle Pfeiffer, the supporting cast, James Bader, Christopher Plummer, all of
Just
them. There's
fantastic.
there's just not one bad cast member, and it's a great script. And I actually quite like the music score throughout the course of this film as well.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
the ending noise. That's like din
yeah,
in 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 in. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
yeah, it matches the theme and the mood of the movie very, very well. So yes, another 10 out of 10 from me and Anubis. But we've got one more. Oh no, we've got two more. Fear the Wolf. Uh, the Month of the
Segments.
Werewolf specials, and the next one that's coming, we're going to be filming that, I think, on Thursday, and it's going to be the Ginger Snaps trilogy. Unfortunately, I wasn't well when we had scheduled it, but I'm going to make it up to my good man Anubis. And then finally, to end Fear the Wolf, the month of werewolves, we're going to be doing another special featuring the films Werewolf 2024, Late Phases, Howl, and the last film is a really, really one of my favorite films. It's a cult classic. It is, of course, Dog Soldiers. So check that out on Saturday the 25th, and look forward to Ginger Snaps trilogy coming this Thursday. But what is coming to the Metal Tavern Radio?
So let's see. Wednesday, of course, Ghouls at Midnight comes back. Both Tony and I have our picks. Mine's going to be 2007's Catacombs, a very, very underrated horror flick.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah, it's very good. And then Tony is doing a movie from the 80s called Grotesque. which I think has Linda Blair in it, if I recall. Thursday, Neko and I will get to our second episode of Rated R for Rom-Com, where I had to suffer through the movie Crazy Stupid Love to review that with her. And then, as you said, Friday or Thursday and Friday, or Thursday and Saturday, we'll be doing the Fear the Wolf stuff. So obviously, I'll be there with that. And then Saturday night for Silver Screen Savants, Olvin, myself, and Neko, and I think maybe Anthony, I'm not sure, are doing A Nightmare on Elm Street because Olvin's never seen that. So
he's fired.
Yeah, he's had a lot of films he's never seen, but it's good. This is one of these cases where you're proud to show somebody some really good films, and so I'm happy he's enjoying some of them.
Yeah.
So.
One thing I've noticed though, because we did do another Fear the Wolf special, which was the American Werewolf in London and Paris. I find it funny you've chosen Catacombs because that literally is the movie I thought fucking American Werewolf in Paris should have been.
And that's it, because we were talking about it and you were discussing. I'm like, you know what? I need to go back to that film because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. I did enjoy it. I just find it funny that film is better than American Werewolf in Paris.
Right.
American Werewolf in Paris had so much potential.
Yeah.
But there you go, folks. You win some, you lose some. Both with the vampires and even the werewolves. But this has been the Entertainment Headquarters. This has been the Fear the Wolf, the month of the werewolves. Keep howling at the moon, folks. And we'll catch us all at the next one. Take care, everybody.